Hi, everyone. we're waiting for our guests to join us. We're here live in Bogota, Colombia. We've had a number of technical difficulties and some timing issues with a number of things here in the city today. So I appreciate you waiting for us. Our guest is Lilia Solano, who is the Vice Minister of Social Dialogue and Equality for the new government here in Colombia, the Gustavo Petro and Francia Marquez government. So just ask that you sit tight and give us a chance to get the technology part of this right again and get her online with us too. It was going just fine. Yeah, I didn't see it. I screwed up. Hey, everyone, hoping that you can stick with us just a few more minutes and let our guest join us. We've got a really great conversation coming up this evening. I'm very sorry for the technical issues we've had. But if you can sit tight for just a few minutes, we'll have Lilia back with us and re-engage in our conversation. So thanks for waiting. Hello?
Hello.
Okay,
I cannot see you.
because I have my camera off. Here I am. Okay, so we're live right now. So let me go back to reintroducing the show. I've asked the audience to wait, and they have on 3 channels. So I'm so thankful for all of you for hanging in there because we have such a great, such a great guest. So let me just remind you all, we are broadcasting live from Bogotá, Colombia. And let me go back and introduce the program, introduce our guest, and start our conversation. So here we go.
Can you see
Welcome
me?
to Welcome to What the F is Going On in Latin America and the Caribbean, a popular resistance broadcast in partnership with Code Pink, Common Frontiers, Council on Hemispheric Affairs, Friends of Latin America, Interreligious Task Force on Central America, Massachusetts Peace Action, and Task Force on the Americas. We broadcast Thursdays at 4:30 p.m. Pacific, 7:30 p.m. Eastern on YouTube Live, including the Convo Couch, Popular Resistance Org, and Code Pink. You can also find us on Facebook Live at popularresistance.org. Post-broadcast recordings can be found at Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Telegram, Rad Indie Media, and under podcasts at popularresistance.org. Today's episode, Bringing the People's Voices into the Government, the relationship between social movements and elected office. And so I've asked this evening for my good friend Lilia Solano to join us. She's joining us from the Ministry of the Interior here in Bogotá. And she is the Vice Minister of Social Dialogue and Equality for the new government here in Colombia, the government of Gustavo Petro and Francia Marquez. We've had several episodes with all of you talking about those elections and then some of the significant things that have happened in the first 100 days of the administration. And so Lilia is with us this evening to talk about her new role with the government. But Lilia, can you start by sharing with me too, actually, and the audience, a little bit of your personal biography, what led you to working in social media and social media, oh my God, social movements, and how all of that led to your current role.
I just want to check if you can hear me well.
We can, yes.
Okay. All right. Well, I want to say thank you because I'm really glad for this interview. My good friend Terry is here in Colombia, in Bogota. He went today to a great meeting with social movements that came all over the country, that came to discuss this relationship between the movements, the social movements, and the government. So how we can together develop this country, govern this country. So I wanted to start by saying this possibility to be together, different people, different nations, different organizations supporting each other is one of the most important things that will happen for Colombia in this moment of transition between years and years of armed conflict, and having this new government, only 3 months, this new government with Gustavo Petro and Francia Marquez, that wants to bring democracy, wants to bring justice, opportunities for all. So this is a very excited moment for us in Colombia, and we need this kind of connections with the international community.
So let's talk a little bit about, I have to just share with the audience, I mean, I've had the most fantastic day, almost a week now. I arrived here in Bogota Thanksgiving, the afternoon of what is recognized as Thanksgiving Day in the States. And Lily has had me busy since very early last Friday morning. So we've had encuentros with Indigenous women, the commission National Commission of Indigenous Women on Friday, and the Campesino movement today. And so it's just been amazing. And Lilia has also flown to the Brazil border to meet with landowners. I think you did that yesterday. So Lilia, tell us a little bit about yourself. Give the audience a little bit of your personal bio so they have a better understanding of who you are and how it came that the Petro government chose you for this role, because you have such significant experience. You should share that with the audience.
Yes, I can start by saying that my grandmother was a peasant, a woman from the countryside, and my mother was a worker. So I came from this family led by women and also by very poor family, that for both of these women, they have in the center of their life that the woman needed to study, and the woman needed to go really, really far away. So I went to university to study philosophy, and then I did a master's degree on political science. I'm doing right now a PhD on social science. But my work, my involvement has been the whole life, almost my whole life, in human rights, working with victims, working with indigenous organizations, Afro-Colombian organizations. So working towards peace and life of opportunities and development. So I am, in my life, I was working about all these items, but now in the government, you have the great chance to do it far better, because you have the power. You can really empower the people, empower these movements, and like we did it today with social movements, and we told them you are in the position of really feel that you decide who was the president. Now you can rule with that president. So it was a very important day that they need to overcome all these years of persecution and unjust, and now all of us can go through a way to build a direct democracy.
Well, this is I should pull up my notes. Let me pull up my notes from today's encuentro, because this was really two things that I heard a number of people mention. And just for the audience, these encuentros that Lilia is organizing or calling people to join here in Bogota. She's also going out to remote parts of Colombia to meet with people in their own communities. And she's creating a dialogue so that everyone has a say. So this is direct democracy, which is exactly how the Constitution is set up. The 1991 Constitution is set up as direct democracy, correct?
Right.
But it's never actually been in practice. And that's, I mean, I think every citizen knows that you have a written document, your nation's constitution, and then you have the realities of how it's actually put into practice. And so this new government, the Petro government, has Lilia on the path of bringing this direct democracy to the citizenship. And then, of course, the citizenship is going to bring their direct democracy right, to the government. So some of the things that were said repeatedly: unity with diversity, and planificación y participación, planning, and planning and participation. And then one woman said, creemos y creamos, like we believe, we create. So if we believe, we can create. And these were really very empowering words coming from people today. I mean, very much, you know, believing. And I mean, that's you, Lilia. You're bringing, I mean, it's the president for sure. It's why people voted for Gustavo Petro. But this is your role, is to take what people voted for and bring it right, you know, from Bogota right into the community level.
Right, right, because the truth is the president came to power because people all over the country from the most different backgrounds came and campaigned for him. Women, indigenous, Afro-Colombians, the diversity, so people that was oppressed for a long time, more than 70 years in an armed conflict. The people was very, very humiliated, very in conditions of poverty, and they wanted a change. So right now we have Presidente Petro. We need to bring these changes, but it's not easy. It's very difficult to overcome these powers that control for almost 70 years, not only economical power, political power, the power of the arms. So right now we are trying to build a new Colombia. And the problem is we have media is in the hands, still in the hands of those who control the economy. And sometimes the economy controls always the elections. So it has been a challenge really to go ahead and with the changes. But I think many of us who are part of the government, that we give our lives for those changes. We are so committed to bring it to the all people, to really the basis of the citizenship.
Let me ask you something. Well, this is just for the audience, that everyone watching knows this is a recurring theme over the years on this particular program, social movements and how important they are in building community and political formation, building potential candidates to run for elected office. And it's a theme that continues to kind of lead into many of our other conversations as well. And one of the things that came up when we were talking about Xiomara Castro's election last November, a year ago, and well, actually it's December now, isn't it? So just over a year, was that being in power, being elected into office, being in power is not the same as having power. And having power is completely reliant on the citizenship and how much they participate and support and believe in the elected, in the president's vision. And so that's a big part of your role, is it not? Is to get everyone supporting what they have voted for, and not just I mean, it's one thing to say oh yeah, I voted for Gustavo Petro, I support him, and it's a whole nother thing to participate in encuentros such as today's, to lay out a roadmap for where you want, as citizens, to support the president and help him and her, the vice president, take the country.
Yes, is like as you mentioned, one thing is to win government. Different thing is to win power, To get the power, you have to really build it. And to build power, you have to make a huge effort, because those on the economical power used to control the country, and those economical power is still on their control of the majority of the business, of the big entrepreneurs, the media. The half of the votes went to the other candidates. So you, in some way, the country was polarized between those who wanted to change, those who live in poverty, and one also the peace project the new government represented. And in the other hand, you have these other powers that but you need to rule for the whole country. So opposition, one of the difficulties that we face is that opposition is a strong opposition because the economical control of the country, of the richness of the country, the control of the land, the control of the whole system of power has been controlled by them. So we needed to build from below, to build a power that will lead us to a real democracy, but it wasn't happen in 100 days. So you have to be, at least we say, this government, the whole 4 years, it will struggle with the possibility to build a real power coming from people and facing these other powers. But that's why I was saying it's very important to be with the international community, because we already have many attacks to this very young transition with this new government, and happening in other countries, in Chile, happen in Peru, happen in Venezuela. When new governments came to power, opposition really came very strong to say, no, this is a whole mess. You are really throwing the power, the government, to a crisis. And we are hoping for these other possibilities, like Brazil, like Bolivia, that there is new government. So we have also to side in Latin America with these other countries who came to change, to, as we say, the progressive countries in Latin America. We have to side with the new possibilities to make it the change, especially Brazil being such a big country, such a very important country, but also Venezuela, but also, as you mentioned, Honduras, Mexico. So we have in the region the possibility not to be isolated, but to be with those governments. We will face the same challenges, and something that we have to call is for the North American civil society, that there is no represented the interests of war, of the control of Washington, of the big transnational corporations, but with people. They need to side with us because we wanted the same. We wanted life, we wanted opportunities, we wanted democracy, development. So that will be something that we have to wait for. People like you, Teddy, that represent this other side of the civil society in North America, that can make such a big change in politics, will help us go through. I think so.
Well, you're very generous. It's an honor. It's an honor to know you and to work with you and and to be invited to so many events, to see you building this direct democracy. I mean, it's really, it's a very profound experience for me, and I'm happy, you know, to have an audience to share your words with. And, you know, our work is to bring these experiences back home to the States, not only to inform what's happening in Colombia and other countries in Latin America and the Caribbean, but also, you know, it's such a great learning opportunity for those of us in North America as well. You know, you mentioned Bolivia, and I wondered if we can just talk a minute as to how, because Bolivia in the last 2 years has been such a profound example of the need for social and labor movements and what can be achieved. So when Evo Morales was removed from power in October 2019, his party returned to power a year later. And that was possible because the party as a movement, the party actually came out of a movement, did not fall apart simply because their elected candidate was no longer in office. They kept their ground game in action. They kept growing the party, they kept educating people, they kept the political formation, and they kept the ability to develop candidates. And they returned to power a year later because they had that movement, that ground game in place. And that is going to be so important for all of you here in Colombia. And I want to, you know, Lilia, there was this great quote yesterday. Lilia was so generous in inviting me to a congressional event yesterday. And Senadora Hayal spoke. And you all be proud of me. I actually listen to all these meetings in Spanish. My fluency isn't great, but my comprehension is actually very good.
Great. So, you're doing really great.
In talking about this theme, about how important it is to have this movement, this power under an elected official, pushing up across the country to the capital. So Senadora Hayal said yesterday, Gustavo Petro and Francia Marquez have 4 years. Pacto Histórico is a 20-year project. We don't make miracles, we make changes. The hour is the hour. And so you're growing, you've got the first 4 years of a 20-year process, which is a perfect example of why movements have to be in place so that when this president is not in office, the whole project can continue by electing someone who can succeed. And that means the movement has to be in place, and it has to keep growing in numbers and in power, in political formation, in developing candidates across the country at all levels of government.
Yes, this is very important also for us, that we cannot depend only in one, we say, caudillo, but also build power from the people's power, because then we change the one in the government, but you still have the people, you still have the Congress people elected. So this is a unique opportunity to have a real vision for the country, not just the transition and those kind of things to make the people believe that only this is the only one, and no one can raise to take the power. But we need to, when you build this people's power, you can enrich your vision, you can really build a community of leaders. And the problem we have right now is, during the years of war, of armed conflict, the people couldn't trust anyone, because no one trust each other because they were afraid of killings, of disappearance, of internal displacement. So now we start also learning how to trust each other, how to in the name of this new country, believe that we can be represented by this or by this other, but to trust that they will raise a new generation of people that can be on power and that we can feel represented by them. But we all of that we have to learn, because we as a country, we are far behind after these many years of war. That's why we always have to oppose to war, because war takes the life of the country, the life of the people, the lives even to the environment, the life, or also the development. So we have to oppose with all our lives to war, because we are, let's say we are 70 years behind because this conflict, because this war. And that's why I was calling to the civil society from North America, because they don't know how much power they have, because this civil society that are also a humanistic civil society can oppose of this agenda of international war everywhere in the name also of business. But you need this new era, this new moment, and we need you to side with us for peace and for democracy, and this is the moment, because in many times the people used to say, no, is the civil society, North American are very naive, that's why they side in the name of war. But I can see this new generation of people that they have ears, open their eyes, and give us a chance to build the future, and in the same time side with us and oppose to any possibility of war against us or against our neighbors like Venezuela, because this is a different times. We want to leave behind those times when the rule of Washington told us that they need to control our countries, and the military control was really real in our countries. So we don't want anymore the politics, the foreign policy for us in Latin America, the South Command. We want a real development to our countries, a new way of foreign policy to us.
Let me, well, I mean, your nation voted, and I've shared this with the audience several times, and you know this, Lily. I was a international election observer, invited to 8 countries. There were elections all over Latin America and the Caribbean between October 2020 all the way through Colombia and Brazil this year, and Argentina next year. Their presidential elections are next year. And the 3 predominant themes I saw, and I will include Colombia in this as well. People voted for national sovereignty. And what you're saying is we want a sovereign foreign policy. We don't want U.S. Southern Command dictating Colombian foreign policy. So people voted across the Americas, national sovereignty, natural resource sovereignty. And Colombia has many, many natural resources, oil being one. And the third thing people voted for was governments that were proposing an economy that would benefit the majority of the citizens. And that could be anything from, one step to the left, social democrat type economy, all the way to something more revolutionary. It's a spectrum. But those are the 3 themes. that I consistently saw people vote for. And I think that's what happened in Colombia as well, although I was not allowed into Colombia to witness the elections, as many in the audience know as well, and you most certainly do, Lily. but the results were the same.
Yes, that's right. I think we all in Latin America hope for this multilateral kind of relationships in the world. And in the same time, my hope is always with the new generation of people that will oppose the war. And we still have many wars that the US fight in Colombia. They fight the war against drugs, the war against narcotics, the war against. So we needed to overcome these kind of relationships only about intervention and really to side for many things more, for environment, for the economy, for life, side with women, for peace. And we have many ways to connect it. So we are hoping for this to build not only our democracy, but to build also this relationship with the people, and also the people can press their own government, their own Congress, and can say, give a chance to Colombia.
Can I, you've talked about war and young people changing, and I would agree, including in the United States. So many young people want to see the U.S. Pentagon budget diminished and all those taxpayer dollars reinvested in social benefits, healthcare, education, good public infrastructure. How, coming out of 70 years of war, internal civil war in Colombia, as you're doing your job as the Vice Minister of Social Dialogue and Equality, how are you seeing and how are people reacting to one another coming out of a civil war? I mean, this is something really, I have to say, in the events that you've had me at the past week, I haven't really felt a lot of animosity between people. It's like this is a very special moment where people are really ready to, are people ready to forgive and forget and move forward, or are they just starting to do that? Or what dynamic are you seeing? Are people really ready to put the war behind them?
I think people is very tired of poverty, because all the money that went to the armed conflict is huge. The money of education, of health, of public services, most of the money for development, it went to the military aid. So that's why people was totally tired of sacrifice themselves in the name of a war. Like the women say, always, not in our name, is not our war, belongs to the interest of economical and political and military powers. So don't call us to bring the life of our children in this war. So that's make the need of hope. This was a country hopeless, and when you are hopeless, you don't have the energy to build anything. So it was the only way for people to recover hope, to recover the dream for a new country, for their own families and children, for the new generation. But still, this struggle between those who win with the military war and those who wanted peace. Has always been a tension between both, and we hope that the people in business will learn that peace is a good business. To bring justice and to overcome poverty is a good business, so that they can really give a chance to this new government, give a chance to the generation of new people like me, that we are ready to to give everything in the name of an opportunity for all of us.
Well, I will say you particularly, but your entire country is really such an inspiration. I mean, you use the word hopeless. Everybody is tired of this hopeless situation, and you've gone from hopelessness to being an inspiration for all of the Americas. I mean, so many of us who have done Latin America solidarity work, anti-war work, human rights defense work, we're all saying, my gosh, if Colombia can change, and Colombia is changing, it is changing, it is in a moment of change, all of us can change. It's possible. It's
That's
so,
right.
I mean, I've shared that with you since I've arrived, that, I mean, it really is just, it's like, my gosh, if Colombia is in a process of, has achieved a government that's allowing for a process of change, we can all get there. It's so profound, and it's so inspiring, and we have so much to learn from all of you. Those of us outside have so much to learn, and so I'm so happy to share some of these lessons with the audience tonight, and I will be honored to take so much of our Encuentro conversations back home to the States. Lilia, is there anything else we should talk about this evening? Anything that you want to make sure is said before I let you go? You've been so generous with your time tonight. I know you're in the throes of
I'm still in the office now.
she's still in the Ministry of the Interior, everyone. She's got day 2 of a 3-day Encuentro that she's planning.
Yeah, this minister is the Minister of Politics. So
okay.
you have to really work reading the times. And tomorrow we will have a big gathering of the campesinos y campesinas, peasants, the countryside people. And we want to discuss, because these peasants, they face the war so badly. The blood was really over the country. So we need now to go celebrate, understand also what kind of country we want to build. What is our future? Bringing the campesinos y campesinas to the center of the discussion, because in the past they gave up their lives for this new country. So thank you so much, Terry. It has been a pleasure to be with you.
I'm so thankful for your time, and thank you to the audience for your patience. I apologize for the technical difficulties on my end, and I just want to remind you all, you've been watching What the F is Going On in Latin America and the Caribbean. It's a popular resistance broadcast. We are live on YouTube every Thursday, 7:30 p.m. Eastern, 4:30 p.m. Pacific. And those YouTube channels are Convo Couch, popularresistance.org, and Code Pink. And you can also listen to us post-broadcast on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. So thank you, everyone. Thank you to my dear friend and special guest, Lilia Solano. She is the Vice Minister of Social Dialogue and Equality for the government of Colombia, the new government, Gustavo Petro and Francio Marquez government. So thank you, everyone, for joining us this evening. And thank you so much, Lilia. And I guess I'll thank you for your time.
Okay, a big hug for you and the people that follow you.
You too.
Okay, bye.
Bye-bye.